Howdy folks, Rebecca Jolly. I am the Jolly Alchemist here today with a neutrino forecast for, Tuesday, the 2nd of September, 2025. So today we enter into the left angle version of this exploring the 40th gate. And what it gives us is the cross of migration. And because it's a left angle, there's two versions. So there was a version in the first quarter, and now we have the version in the third quarter. And this is very interesting because the cross of migration is split by the different kinds of migrations that humans do. One is running towards something and one is running away from something. So the first version is based on our aggressive tendencies to go out and want to conquer. So we're going to the other hill to see what's over the other side and to get some of it. Yeah. But in this version, it's the other version. It's more about running away from something or not migrating until we're forced to run away from something. So you have a whole lot of Rob brings up the example of Hitler and the Jews in the ghettos, how they're crushed in and in and in, and we won't move, we won't move, we won't go, we won't go. Well, eventually they were forced to go, right, on cattle cars. So that's not cool, but that's the kind of energy that's going on here. These people tend to run away from negative forces rather than to run towards wanting to get something that they're not getting. Yeah. So we have an interesting blend of people here that are showing this energy. This is Peter Fox, Salma Hayek, Keanu Reeves, Maria Bamford, and Charlie Sheen. So, I mean, I'm sure there are others. There were always others. But as far as some well-known examples, those are a few that I picked out that I figured, well, you might know a little bit about something about them. So 40 line 5 is rigidity towards negative forces. And it has a down arrow on it, so that means that there's going to be a tendency to feel the weaker side of it, or the more negative side. Of course, there's no judgment in human design, but there is judgment in people, so you kind of have to juggle that awareness a little bit, yeah? It's the illusion to be strong enough to fill everyone's wishes at any time. Trying to suit everyone will lead eventually, of course, to emotional outbreak. So you have this, Ra calls it, you have this 40th gate, okay? And the thing that's really the most relevant about the 40th gate is the fact that it's got an ego that needs to be massaged. It's attached to this willpower center. So that's part of this community deal that we're talking about between the 40 and the 37. The 37, which is all friendly and nice, comes to the 40 and says, oh, 40, you're so awesome. You're so great. Will you please go out and work for us and bring us, we need you to do this. Oh, please do that. Da, 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 da. And the 40th, especially in this 5th gate, because the 5th gate is, of course, the highest expression overtly of the gate itself. So this is what we want to see when we look at the 40th gate. Someone who can absolutely deliver, but who's a little bit choosy about who they deliver to. Negative forces are forces that are going to require that ego to work when it doesn't want to work. So the 40 is sitting there, and there will be a bunch of people coming up to it and saying, oh, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And the 40 goes, no, I don't like that. I don't want that energy. I'm rigid towards these negative forces that are imposing on my ego. And then someone will come and say, oh, you want to do this? Oh, I like the way you massage my ego. Okay, I'll go toot, 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 and give you the work and make a deal with you and form a community with you, bring resources into the community. So that's what it's talking about when it's talking about this 40th aspect of rigidity. So we're going to see some of this aspect of rigidity in all of the lines of the 40th gate. And I know somebody with the 4037 very intimately, and I can tell you there's this absolute aspect of, yeah, massage my ego. Come massage my ego, and I'll tell you no. but I really like having you around to massage my ego. So I want to keep you away, but only until I need you. And then, oh yeah, you can come back in and massage my ego, and I'll do a little work for you, and then I'll push you away again. So no judgment, but that's just kind of the energy that you're going to be experiencing with that 40. And once we get to this 5th line, that's the strongest, most mature aspect of this hexagram happening here, because once we get to the 6th line, they're not really thinking about it anymore. They're doing it, but they're not, it's just in their bodies. It's just natural. It's not something that they're focused on at all. They're focused on what the next hexagram is. So wouldn't you like to know? We'll get there very soon. All right, 37.5 is love, natural devotion to the community. And it's a very sweet kind of line, but you always have to understand that with every line, you always have the opposite. Every hexagram contains the opposite. So here we have love and hate. Well, how could you have love and hate encased within the same line? That's happening because you have the 37 that's wanting to be friendly towards the 40 so that the 40 will bring in resources, right? So the 37 is very friendly. Oh, I'll be so nice to you. I'll be so nice to you. I'll be so nice to you that you'll bring in the resources. But they can't, they're on the emotional side. The 37 is coming out of the emotional wave. So that's on a fucking wave right there. They can't really, honestly, be nice all the time because sometimes they're in a really shitty mood. So it leads to a position very easily where the 37 develops a hatred towards the 40, a resentment. Like, why do I always, always, always have to massage you, be nice to you, placate you in order for you to bring in the resources? Yeah? And so it can definitely lead to problems because you've got that emotional wave here. And a lot of times what happens is the 40 will hook to a 37 that does not have emotional definition. All right. And so then you have a 37th gate off of an open emotional center, which means that 37 is going to be even more sensitive to the emotional wave. So Hitler says this is the exact line, this 37.5, this love and hate, that Hitler carried in an open emotional center. And I've got a daughter with the same activation. She's not talking to me right now. But you see, it's all about riding that emotional wave right now. She's feeling that feeling of love versus hate. Yeah. It's not like everyone who has that line definition is a horrible person and like Hitler, but there were aspects of Hitler that helped to show up a contrast for humanity at that time, and there's tons of people that carry that energy. Sorry, it just because he misused his energy by some people's standards. By some people's standards, he was exactly what the world needed right then, right? So, yeah, it's certainly controversial, but what you have there is those people on the 37 in an open emotional system being really susceptible to the far ranges of the love and hate on this scale. So they're going to have a tendency to love or hate you, and you're going to have a tendency to love or hate them also. And that's the way that shit works in human design. So it's not always easy to pin down what's happening where. Nothing in itself is giving a message that's full. You have to look at all the aspects and the elements together to be able to really see the true picture. So we see one aspect, okay, fine, but it's not the whole picture. So the song for this is We Are Family by Sister Sledge. Think about it. They're grouping together. We're carrying the family. Of course, this is obviously the family on a high. And you know that eventually that feeling is going to crash. But in the moment, it's the family on a high. That's that love of the community. We are family. We are a community. We're bonded together. We're being rigid towards negative forces, right? The forces that aren't supporting us or aren't for us. They're obviously excluded. Very much a song for today. So, the moon clocks in at 10:05 with a down arrow, heresy. 10 is all about the treading of the self. This is about being authentic. So these are the 6 versions of authenticity, and this one is the 5th one, which is the heretic. All right, so because it has a downline, it's going to be that edge of the spectrum. Yeah, heretic protest versus standards and traditions, that ends on the stake because it went too far, as the rebellion versus existing norms was pushed too far. So there will be a bit of an energy in the world, and it's in the moon, so it's only for a brief flash, but people will feel the flash of pushing things too far, rebellion going just a little bit too much. So be aware of that energy. And what that does, because we're already carrying in our transit energy the 20 and the 57, that means for that period of time, we are going to have a massive amount of the integration channel defined. So I have 3 of the 4 of the integration channels. You can see I have 34, and I have 10, and I have 57. So the one that I lack is the 20, but the 20 is being given by the transit right now. So the only one that we're actually lacking, unless you have the 34 personally like I do, is that 34. So these 3 centers create together a definition of 3 channels, plus the 4037 that's coming to us from the mission of the day. So the 4037 is, of course, the community, the negotiator, being able to work between the provider and those who need to be provided for. Okay, fine. We've talked about that at some length here as we've been exploring these lines. But just now, it gives us the 10 to the 57. So the 10 to the 57, that's the aesthete. That's a harmony of intuitive awareness and authentic behavior. Intuitive awareness coming from intuition, and authentic behavior coming from the 10, treading of the self. Then we have the 20 to the 10, and that's the existentialist, authentic behavior in the now, authentic behavior in the now. That's the 20, the gate of the now. And we have the 2057, which is the improviser, being able to intuitively speak. So you're talking about a flash of inspiration right there. And so all these things are possible as this 10 lights up through our systems. It's a very important gate, especially when you add it to all those other ones together. So be aware, all these things are possible. This aesthetic sense, this intuition in the now, this being able to improvise, and being able to be authentic in the now. Whew, what a lot, yeah? Then we come down to our Mercury energy, which is 29.6. This is still looking at the nature of commitment, and that's blind luck, a leap in the dark. And something that I find very interesting about today, well, I'll read the rest of them first, okay? Then, let's see. All right. After the 29 gets done, after the 29.6 is done, that energy will end today and will move into 59.1. So we'll start exploring the nature of this 59th gate right here. And this is our sexual role gate. So we've gone through that recently. But again, 59.1, conquest, the vitality to tear down walls. I have that activation actually. And so there's that. And then our Venus energy is 33.2, surrender, the prudence to surrender to superior forces. 33 is, of course, that gate of aloneness and retreat and thinking about things on your own. And 57.2, 57.2, we do have new from yesterday. There was 57.1, but I did not write it down. However, it's right here, so I can get that real quick for reading. 57.2 with a down arrow is, of course, this is the gate of intuition, clarity and determination for values and ideals. And the down arrow on that we have is the superficial cleansing that hides the dirt underneath the carpet and does not recognize the depth of the intuition. So this is kind of related to our 22.2, which is about being nice on the surface, but really hiding your emotions underneath. So there's some of that energy definitely going on. And then we do have a shift, real briefly, because I know I'm running over time. In the larger global picture, the 53 moves to line 4, which is assuredness, to maintain one's individuality in beginnings. So the interesting thing for me is that I have the 53 actually specifically line 4. I have the 33, I have the 59, I have a resonance to the 29 because I have the 46, same line. 46 line 6 resonates to 29 line 6, so there. And I have the 10th gate, line 1, and I don't have 37 or 40. But other than 37 or 40, every single one of our new energies is either one I'm already carrying in my body, or in the case of the 29, have a very strong resonance to, because I have multiple activations of the 46. So interesting. We're feeling a lot of my energies today, yeah? And our scarf for today is a migration tie. Hey, hey. And the whales, of course, signifying the migration. Not necessarily to or from, but there it is. All right, so enough for today. Come back tomorrow. We'll talk more about migration, especially as it's sinking into the body and just being expressed, rather than in this 5-1 kind of line definition that we're in as far as, the profiles go. Now we're looking at 5-1 and 5-2. Of course, 5-1 is the biggest one. 5-2 is a tiny slice of that, and then we'll run to the 6s. Yeah, the 6-2 and the 6-3. So come back tomorrow for another neutrino forecast. We'll be looking at all the new energies. Until then, you take care. Ciao.